Okay, we are live.
Okay.
Same thing with the reading, spec.
Fine with me.
Does anybody have anything that they did? Sure. So, chapter 5, what makes us a team? This could be like, we can all talk about this, right? Because in the beginning of chapter 5, which I thought we had already covered, but I'm lost because we moved around. We didn't do them in order.
I highlighted all the ones I'm pretty sure we've done. I don't think we've actually covered chapter 5.
So,
And I highlighted so much stuff in here.
right. So just because like Dr. Lane or your manager, whoever says that you're a team, it doesn't mean that we are a team or feel like a team. So what do you think so far? Like in our little review, what so far makes you feel like we are a team?
I think we do
Because a
well.
lot of this-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we work well together. I mean, we've all got busy schedules, so being able to communicate and figure out what works best for everybody, I think in that aspect, we work well as a team.
Right.
One of the big things that I talked about in our team reflection that we all of you kind of dusted on was psychological safety. I don't think any of you actually used the word, but that's like what all of us meant, like just being open, sharing our ideas. So I definitely put that in there because I feel like we all have a very high level of that on this team.
Right.
Agreed. It's hard because I think most of us at, where we're at in life, we anytime we hear the team word, it's in business and it's at work and it's in your little groups or, wherever you might work. But this has brought a different perspective of team for me. And I think what has really been just the outward sign that we're all working together is that I'm noticing that when we all do connect, it is because we have detailed questions or we have done detailed work. And so we're either trying to explain what we've done or to get suggestions on what we might need. So I've thought that that's been probably the coolest thing because, again, when I think of teams, I think of work and we're all, working together, but we see each other versus, this, we're texting. We do this once a week, and I think the greatest example of our teamwork is what we're doing when we're not right here, because we're holding each other accountable, and we're at least at a point where we feel the accountability to do good work beyond this conference call. So I think that's what I feel like the closest is that when I'm working on some of this stuff, I know that Stacy, Kelsey, Paige, you all are doing something at some time, and we're all working at different times, but it's cool to know that we're all trying to accomplish that same objective. Yeah.
So we do experience group potency, right?
Yes.
I highlighted that as well.
Yep. Which is the collective belief that we can be effective.
Yes.
Oh,
Especially these next couple rounds.
Collective efficacy, which means that each one of us believes that a team can perform successfully. I don't think, like, I remember in the beginning when he was like saying, oh, and I know you guys are saying teams. If any of you have been online education, in college online where because I went to a different school where the whole bachelor's degree program was team. Every single class was a team project.
Oh, gosh.
2 classes in.
Most of mine have been lately as well.
Really? 2 classes into this degree program that I was in, I decided to stop going online and go to the school because I thought, you're taking the time to get up and be somewhere, so I'm thinking that I'm going to be going to class with more accountable people. Well, at the end of that 6 weeks, there were 6 of us on a team and only 2 of us that were there presenting our PowerPoint presentation.
Wow.
So I can say for, you know, I heard and I read and I was seeing about, you know, and I wasn't going to make a I wasn't going to prejudge anyone else that I was assigned with to be on the team. But I don't really think that it was any of us that were like, oh no, not a team immediately, really. I mean, of course, my experience put that in my mind, but I had to just let that go and just be like, let's give it a shot.
Yep.
Well, I think we've done a really good job. I think, Stacy, I wrote your name down right here next to emotional contagion, that some people are better at spreading emotions. I think that you do a really good job of making sure everyone's like in a positive mood. Like you don't allow anyone to be, not that any of us are ever down or anything, but I think that you really are like, will call people out if they're like feeling a certain way. So I think that's really good.
Cool.
Yeah, I wrote your name down in here. But I do think that we have a really high emotional intelligence as a team, that we can talk. Even if our personal lives are affecting us, I think that we have a high enough emotional intelligence with each other that we would be honest. And I think if our group was ever to reach a time of stress or threat, that we would definitely be able to figure out a way to handle it.
Yeah, for sure. I have to agree there.
Agreed.
60 hours last week, you guys. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't text, I didn't do anything. I made a phone call. It was nuts last week.
Chapter 3.
Yeah, let's go. Move on.
Okay.
I wonder if this was a little bit hard. Because I feel like this had a lot to do with like paying people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't get any of that, unfortunately.
Well, there was the advice, you know, the listening to advice. I mean, you know, a lot of times people say like, I say like unsolicited advice is like junk mail. You know what I mean? You go through your mail and the junk mail just automatically goes in the recycle pile. But I think it's important, whether we're emailing or on here or we're just texting. Evan gives me advice all the time because I feel like I come on a wall, against a wall as far as like, I don't know. I just keep hearing Dr. Lane say this is real. So I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to get to this island? So it's like, Evan, your advice is good. And it is kind of like, it feels a little crazy that we're just going to be like, well, we'll get there when we get there kind of thing. But the way that this island is and the way that their culture is, I feel like that's almost the way we're going to have to be once we get there. You know, like,
Right.
I followed the dead around for years, so I can hitchhike, you know what I'm saying? But we're like, I never had to grab a boat and get 250 miles away to another island. I can't be much different, I guess.
And I it's not to downplay reality. It's that there's many vantage points to reality. And if you really want to break it down, it's like, okay, well, how are we leaving the airport? Well, how are we getting from the airport to the part where the boat is? And then who's going to be on the boat? Like, you can look at all these little details, and I have zero problems doing that. I'm just saying, in all the examples that he's given in terms of, you know, look at these are former people who have gone. I haven't seen anybody who has gone to that length. And again, I'm all for it, but I think that we're just going to cap ourselves out if we try to focus on like, and again, I'm not going to say exact details. I'm just saying, like, if we try to put a cost to every single thing without remembering that in reality, we would call these people and say what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. We'd love to bring these things to you. Is there anyone that would take us from, you know, this island to this island? Because hypothetically, he can't or we can't say what would be the result of that conversation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if somebody were to say, you know what, yeah, so I'm just saying that it's not that I'm saying let's avoid reality. I'm just saying let's look at reality in a few different ways and not just say, okay, well, right after the airport, where do we go get our bags? And after we get our bags, how do we get in a cab and who's going to pay for that?
There's no cab. Evan, our room is 1 minute walk away from the airport. That's
Well,
how
see,
little this.
That's
This,
what,
you
that's
don't
what I'm
even-
saying. Like, if we just look at it from a different way of saying, you know what, we're doing a great thing, and if these people know that we're flying there and what we want to bring to them, I really don't see why we couldn't hypothetically make a real situation where we say they're going to take us to this island out of the goodness of their heart because they do it and have done it before. You know what I mean? So it's not like to suggest you're going in too deep. I'm just saying, because I'm not really doing and focusing on that part of the flag, I just give my 2 cents just as much as I'd hope anybody give their 2 cents on if I were to update on my part of the flag. So anyway, the incentive pay that I would tie into this is the grade that always
Yeah.
in work, they say
Yep.
$1,500 for this, $2,000 for this, $3,000 for this. So I don't see it any different as silver, bronze, and gold. Now, it's not necessarily a checkbox because he is going to check the content of the gold of what we do. But so the biggest thing that stuck out to me is that it's in like the middle of a paragraph, but it says incentive systems combine individual performance and team performance to reflect the degree to which a job calls for the individual work and teamwork. So I would definitely make this or make the application that our incentive pay is an A, a B, or a C, and we're going to have to work together to get an A. And basically, an incentive program is putting all of us as individuals and him giving those degrees of what we need to do and who's willing to contribute to get there. So at the end of the day, I would still continue to say what I think should be said, as I am 100% open to anybody sharing anything if they feel it would be for the better of our grade. So
Right. And I wasn't pointing you out.
no, I know. I'm just explaining that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, what I have starred here actually goes really well with what you just said. It's about the communication medium and like giving feedback. It says that performance appraisers give poor performers substantially higher ratings when they have to give face-to-face feedback as opposed to anonymous written feedback. I'm not saying that any of our feedback should be anonymous, but maybe when we do critique each other's work right now for the flags, we really should email each other everything we have and all look over everything before we submit things into our portfolio. And I think that we should do that not just here, but over text and over email with each other as well.
Sounds good to me.
It just said, because obviously people are just nicer to each other face to face, and not that we're trying to like not be nice or whatever, but we might catch something we wouldn't, later.
Okay.
I
What
think.
page was that on?
What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Paige, you take the silence.
Oh, I'm good on chapter 3. Does anyone have anything else to say about chapter 3?
Nothing that y'all didn't cover. I got basically everything.
I would agree.
All right, so should I stop this broadcast? Anyone have anything else to add?
The only thing I have written down is the types of pay that we, since this is a group project, we're not getting paid, is recognition. Just showing that we care, no time, no money. Sometimes that says a lot more than getting paid. I know at my job, whenever my boss just tells me that he notices I'm doing a good job, it means a lot more sometimes than just getting
Yeah.
extra money.
I can completely relate to that. And then for me, I'm like a server, so when my tables even give me recognition,
Yeah.
even if they don't tip me well, which is awesome when you get tipped.
Oh
from
yeah.
It's so awesome. But it does, you know, sit there a little bit when I get kind words as well.
Yep. Other than that, everything else y'all mentioned.
All right, well, I'm going to stop this.